Hey there! Today I want to show you how to make a beautiful pair of earrings that I call the faux feather earrings. This earring here has the Paradise Shine as my oval. It has some suede green super duos, and then it has 11s and 15s in this project as well. So this is again the suede green and Paradise Shine. And then here's another sample I have to show you. This is the, oh my gosh, why did it just leave me? Orange Gold Shine Super Duos, and the, oh gosh, it's totally left me. Maybe I'll think of it before the end of the video, but this is another one of the ovals that we have in our store. So the one I'm going to be showing you how to do today is another version. This is the, Crystal Golden Shadow with a 15-0 matte olive, an 11-0 frosted brown iris. I'm just using 1.5 grams and 1 gram here, and this will be plenty. And then I'm going to be using some 3mm bicones, as well as 42 regular size Super Duo beads. So you'll want to start out and thread your needle with 2 yards of thread. I'm going to be using the 1G thread today, along with both my Yuki seed beads here. I'm going to be picking up 4 size 11 seed beads. I'm going to bring those and leave my little self a little bit of a tail here. And I'm going to go back through all 4 of these beads one more time, so that when I pull it together, it's going to make this line of beads. Now if you'll take the tail thread and the working thread and pull them in the same direction, it'll pull your beads into a little box, I should say. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the tail thread and the working thread, we're going to tie those together into a few knots. And I definitely recommend this. I tried doing it without adding this knot here, and the encasement that I did fell apart on like the 3rd round. So I definitely suggest making that little knot. Now we're going to start working a strip of right angle weave with these size 11 seed beads. So it doesn't matter which one I go through, but I'm going to go through one of the 11-0s next to the knot. So I'm just going to go up through this bead. Just remember, whatever direction you start in is the direction you're going to have to continue in. I'm going to pick up 3 11s, come back through the same bead that you're coming out of so that it makes a circle. Then I'm going to go through 2 beads that I just added. So I'm going to be going through this bead and this bead. Astral Pink, that's the name of that color. Just now thought about it. Okay, so I went through those 2 beads. Now I have 2 right angle weave boxes. I'm going to pick up 3 11s. I'm going to come back through the same bead I'm coming out of to make a circle. And then I'm going to go through 2 beads that I just added. So I'm going through this bead and this bead. And I'm going to continue picking up 3 beads, going through the bead that I'm coming out of to make a circle, and then going through the next 2 beads until I have a total of 19 right angle weave boxes. So right now, as we speak, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and you want 19 total. Here's my strip with 19 boxes. I've gone ahead and I've trimmed the little tail thread that I had here, and now I'm going to take this and I'm going to fold this piece to where the end will touch the beginning, like this. So for my example, my thread is coming out of the bottom of the very end bead. I'm going to pick up 1 11 and I'm going to go through the 11-0 on the other end of the little strip. Then I'm going to pick up 1 11-0, and I'm going to go down through the last bead on the strip, which is this bead right here. So this will complete the 20th right angle weave box, and make this an infinity ring where you can't tell where you started and where you stopped. Now I'm going to go through the bottom bead I added, which was that first bead, then through the little connection bead, and then through the top bead. I want to be coming out of any one of these top beads here. I'm going to pick up 115 and go through the next 11 sticking up. Pick up a 15 and go through the next 11 that's sticking up. And what you want to do is you want to go all the way around just on this top side, putting in your 15s, pulling it nice and tight. And once you do that, go back through and reinforce it several times so that you'll know you get a good tight top to your encasement. Once you've gone all the way around, this is what your piece will look like. Once I finished, I went ahead and I stitched to come out of any of these beads that are sticking up along the outer edge. We're going to do another row of right angle weave, but this time we're going to be using our size 15 seed beads. So I'm taking 3 size 15 seed beads. I'm going to come back through the same bead that I'm coming out of so that it makes a circle. And then I'm going to go up through the bead right above where my thread is exiting. Now, pick up 2 15s. I'm going to come to this next 11-0 and I'm going to come back through it, working back towards the 15s that I've already added. Then I'm going to go up through the bead right where my thread is exiting, through the 2 15s that I just added, 2 15s I just added, and then through the next 11 on the row, and pull that. 2 15s. I'm going to come down through the previous side bead of my box here. Then I'm going to go through the 11 and then the 15 right above where my thread is exiting, which is going to be this one right here. Now as you work, you'll want to make sure that this beadwork stays tight and that it kind of falls to the back. The beads that we put here, these are the front ones, so we want to make sure that they go the opposite direction. Now I'm going to pick up 2 15s. I'm going to come to the next 11 and I'm going to come back through it, coming back towards the beadwork I've already completed. Go up through the 15 right above where your thread is exiting, through the 2 15s that you just added, and then through the next 11. So 2 15s. I'm going to come back around and go down through this little side bead here. Then I'm going to go through the 11 and then through the 15 right above where my thread is coming out. Okay, so you can see here I've got another row started here with my right angle weave. So I'm going to continue doing this until I'm about halfway around, and then I'm going to put my rivoli in place face down. So I'm going to just continue this and I'll be right back. So at this point, I've gone about halfway around and I'm going to go ahead and take my 18 by 13 oval and I'm going to slide it into this encasement. You don't want to wait to do this because if you wait, your encasement will be too tight and you won't be able to get this piece in. So now you're just going to continue to stitch until you have 1 11-0 left in the round. So I've gone all the way around and I only have 1 11 left here along the outer edge. I'm going to pick up 1 15 and I'm going to come down through the side box bead here of my first right angle weave box that I added. Then I'm going to go through the 11-0 right there, that last one, because right now it's not fully connected. Our box is not completed. And then I've got to go up through the side bead of this last box here, so that now all 4 beads are connected and I'm ready to start the next step of my piece. So now at this point your piece is encased, but it's still loose in the encasement, so I've got to tighten it up a little bit. So I'm going to pick up 115 and I'm going to go straight through the next 15 sticking up, and I'm going to pull that taut. I'm going to pick up 115 and I'm going to go through the next 15 sticking up, and I'm going to pull that. And I'm going to go all the way around, adding 115 in between each of these, and I'm going to reinforce it a couple of times. At this point, this is what your encasement will look like. It should be nice and tight up against your stone. As you can see, the back is exposed, and I let that exposed because it's going to be an earring and not touching my skin. If you want to cover this up, you can definitely do that if you can figure out how to finish out that encasement. But like I said, I'm not going to because it's going to be in my ear. Now, I'm going to stitch through my beads to where I'm coming out of the 11 O's here along the bottom of the encasement. And once you come out of an 11O, you're just going to pick up an 11O and go through the next 11O that is there. And then pick up an 11O and go through the next 11O. And you're just going to do this all the way around the bottom part of this encasement, adding in the size 11 seed beads here along the bottom. So I've gone all the way around, and this is what the back looks like, and then this is what the front of your piece will look like. As you can see, I have stitched through the beads so that I'm coming out of one of the beads that I added in this round, and it's kind of here in the corner of my oval. I'm going to show you the next step, and if your beads aren't exactly centered where we're going to put them, the great thing is you can kind of roll the encasement and move your beads around to where they will be centered and look good. So I'm going to be using my Super Duos at this point, and I'm using a crystal orange rainbow, so it's variegated, so I'm just picking up randomly. I'm going to pick up one Super Duo, and I'm going to go through the next 11O that is sticking up around the outer edge. This is going to be an 11O that I added in the last round. So what's going to happen is it's just going to stick out like this. I'm going to do that 5 more times to add a total of 6 Super Duo beads. So I'm just going around and plopping my little bead in there. And as you can see, they're just going to stick all different ways, and that's okay because we're going to fix that on the next round. So give no thought to that. I have so many people who get to this point and they're like, oh, mine are sticking up, or what, what's wrong with mine? And there's nothing wrong. Just remember that, it's a process, and each step brings about something different. And as you'll see, it's very easy to get your thread caught like I did there. Let's see, that's 5, so I got to put on 1 more, and that'll make 6. So once I put that 6th duo on here, and what is going on with my thread here today? There we go. Okay. My 6 are pretty well centered. They are not off whatsoever. But what you can do, if your 6 are kind of off kilter, you can take and hold the stone with your pointer and your thumb, and then use your fingers to kind of roll the encasement around, and that will help you out tremendously. Now I have to do what I call the funky turnaround to get back around to where I need to be. So I want to be coming out of this next 11O that's sticking out. So it's better to stitch up, down, and back than it is to try and do something crazy. So I'm going to take the needle, and I'm just going to stitch through the beads. And it's kind of one of those things that it doesn't matter how you do it, just as long as you don't see your thread. Now, I will tell you that your beads, especially on this bottom row, are going to be pretty tight by this time. So just be careful as you work that you don't bust any beads or do anything to harm your beadwork. So then I'll come down through this little connection bead here, and then through this bead and this bead so that I'm exactly where I need to be. Okay, so you can see right there exactly where I'm coming out. I'm going to pick up a 15, a 3mm, and a 15. I'm going to go through the open hole of the next duo. And then I'm going to pick up a duo and go through the duo. A duo, go through the duo. And I'm going to continue, let me get me some more duos over here. I'm going to continue doing this across. So I'll be adding a total of 5 duos. And I will tell you, as you work this round, if you pull this round super tight, what's going to happen is your piece is going to really cup up. And you can see here where I pulled it a little bit tighter so I can show you. You can see it's kind of cupped and domed instead of laying straight out flat. And that's okay because it's going to be in your ear and nobody's going to see that. But it's much better if you can leave it out flat like this one is, and that's just a thing of tension. So a lot of you who are lighter stitchers, you're going to have an easier time with that. Alright, so I have this. I'm all the way here to the end, so I'm going to go ahead and get my 15, my 3mm, and my 15, and I'm going to go through the next 11 O's sticking up on this outer row here, so that when I pull, now both sides look identical. I'm gonna do my funky turnaround, and I'm gonna come back around so that I'm coming out of this 15, 3mm, and 15. So now I am coming out of this little set of 3 beads that I just added, and you have a couple of options at this point. You can either stitch straight through this row of beads so that you're coming out of this last bead on the row, or you can stitch through a few beads and stitch back. I find it just as easy to go straight across on this row. And I will tell you what I do on these couple of rows here. I try to really match my thread up to the colored beads that I'm going to be using for my super duos, because you will see thread on the outside of these duos. So it works really good if the colored thread you're doing matches your duo. So for instance, I started out with white thread here, and I didn't switch over the thread, and you can see the white on the sides here. I would have liked it a lot better if I would have switched to an orange colored or a nectarine colored thread. But I corrected that on this suede green because I used a dark green thread. So you still see the thread, but you don't see it as much. It's not as noticeable there. So that's the good thing when you're doing these earrings. So I'm using this tan kind of beigey thread so that now when I step up for the next row and I go through the bead, the top hole of that bead, you're going to see the thread, but in the scheme of things, it's not going to be that huge of a thing that I'm going to see because I'm using a colored thread. Now I'm going to work the whole row, just picking up a duo and going through the next duo. Each row that we do, we are going down, decreasing by 1. So that now I have added this last bead here on the row, and I'm ready to do the turnaround because I need to be coming out of this bead right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to come back through the other hole in this end super duo here, and I'm going to go through 3 holes. So I'm going through the duo, and the duo. So I'm going straight through 3 holes. and I'm going to pull that. Now I'm going to jump to the other hole in this same one that I'm coming out of, and I'll go through those 2 holes there. And then I will step up by going through the top hole of that last bead that I added. So now you can see that that's a little bit of a quicker way instead of having to go all the way across and coming back up. But it's really whatever you want to do. I'm just going to pick up a duo, go through it. Pick up a duo, go through. And I'm going to work this row. And then once I work this row, you can see now that I'm left with 3 beads now here. Again, if you pull this tightly, you see what happens. It's going to curve down, so you really want to loosen up on your tension and make sure that you can kind of keep this flat. So I'm going to work the turnaround. So I'm going to come back through 3. Then through there and there. Okay, again, I'm doing a row with 2 duos this time. Okay, and I still have 1 more row to go, so I'm going to go ahead and do the turnaround. And then I'm back to where I need to be to add this final duo. So I'm just going to pick it up and go through the bead. Now, technically, you're done with this bottom part of the earring that you're going to do. You could stitch all the way back up to the top to add your hook. The only problem with this that I found is as you stitch back through and you stitch up through here, if you're not careful, you're going to shred your thread. So I found it's better to go ahead and tie this thread off and then start a new thread up here at the top. Now, as long as your thread is still good, you can use the same thread up here. I just wouldn't suggest stitching back through all the way to the top. So I've gone ahead and you can see here I've got my tail thread and I have stitched through some beads so that I'm coming out of an 11-0. This is the center 11-0 directly above where I'm coming out. So I'm coming 1 over. I'm going to hold my little tail thread here with my finger. Just going to wrap it around my finger a couple of times. And then I'm going to take my working thread, if I can find it here. There we go. And I'm going to pick up 2 15s, 1 3mm, and 2 15s. I'm coming out of this 11 here. I'm going to skip the next 11-0 sticking up. And then I'm going to go through the next one. So I'm going through the second 11-0 that is sticking up. So it looks just like this. Now I'm going to do the funky turnaround so that I can come back up through to exit this 3mm here. So I've now done the turnaround so that my thread is exiting out of the 3mm. And all I'm going to do is use my size 15 seed beads. And I'm going to pick up 6 15s. And I'm going to come back through the 3mm that my thread is exiting so that it makes a circle. And then that way when I pull it, now I have a little tiny bail for my ear hook. So I'm going to reinforce this several times, get rid of both these threads, and then make a second piece for my earrings. Before I go, I wanted to show you one more option that you have for the earring. You can always attach the bail first and then stitch to the bottom to attach your super duos. If you don't necessarily like the super duos, you always have the option of just leaving your piece just like this, or coming down and adding a teardrop or something like that. So that's always another option. Just to let you know, we will have kits available for the the suede green and the astral pink here. We will have those available on our website at offthebeadedpathbeadstore.com, as well as the written step-by-step pattern.